Okay, just saw you a couple hours ago, really. You guys left with your Juggles the Clown, right? And a ruler, as well as a protractor. And of course, you need a pencil. So let's go ahead and get started. If you need to get these materials, just hit pause and go get them. All right, let's swoop. Here we go. So I flipped the camera around. I only need one of these pages. I know we have like 2 or 3, but I'm going to just use one page for right now. Something that is really important for you to remember is that I'm going to make this video just one video throughout, okay? Meaning I'm going to go from the beginning to the end of measuring Juggles. Then I'll make another video about measuring Juggles' his angles, okay? So just because this video might be like 10 minutes long or 15 minutes long does not mean that you need to sit there and try to keep up with the whole thing in one sitting. You just work on it as you can throughout the week, okay? And then you can just fast forward to where you left off. That's fine. I'm going to be moving faster on this video than you will be able to move while listening and doing it yourself. So you're expected to hit pause. So again, just because it's a 15-minute video doesn't mean it's only going to take you 15 minutes. It might take you a half hour because you're going to need to pause the video and then do that measurement yourself, okay? So don't feel anxious because I'm going fast. It's because the longer I make the video, the longer it takes for it to download and open on our Chromebooks. So I'm going to just move at a good, steady pace, and then you just hit pause when you need to pause it. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and do this together. Flip. All right, so hello, Juggles. He's called Juggles because he's, juggling. So funny. Okay, so we have a lot of shapes here, right? We have squares, triangles, circles, crazy hair that we're dealing with together in class, trapezoids, and whatever the heck this foot is. This crazy foot of crazy. All right, so as we talked about in class, a lot of these shapes are repeats. This square is the same as this square, is the same as this square, is the same as this square. So we only need to measure one of them. We don't need to take the time to measure all 4 of them since they're all the same. I'm going to choose to measure this one right here because it's the darkest and it's going to be easier for me to see in order to measure. Now, if you only have a protractor, you can definitely still use it as a ruler. The ruler section is right here because we're going to use centimeters. I know it's always confusing because it has mm right here, but that's because centimeters are made up of millimeters. So it's a little confusing, right? Same thing on a ruler. A lot of times it'll say mm and you won't see the cm part. So this is 1 centimeter, but it's made up of 10 millimeters. It's just a little confusing sometimes. All right, so anyway, I'm going to get started on measuring this square. And since squares are equal on all sides, we only have to measure one side. Okay, so I'm going to measure one side of one of these squares, and all the squares will be measured. Isn't that glorious? All right, so, and we have to use centimeters, and do not round. Centimeters, do not round. Okay, because we're going to take this times 3, right? We're going to make it 3 times bigger, the scale factor of 3. Here we go. I'm getting, what are you getting? I'm getting exactly 1.5. Is that what you have? Are you yelling at me right now? I'm getting 1.5. Okay. So you can do what you want. I like to put a little arrow to say this is 1.5. I'm not going to write centimeters after everything because everything on my paper is going to be in centimeters. Well, I just measured the square because it's a square. It's the same on all sides, and all these are the same. I am going to check mark these off because I have measured them, and it just visually helps me know, okay, that's done. All right, so what I want you to do now is I want you to measure the rectangles, okay? I want you to pause the video, and I want you to measure the rectangles. These are the same, so just measure one. Put your measurements on the outside, and when you're done, check mark them like this. I'm not going to do them with you. You can hit pause. You can measure rectangles. I believe in you. Okay. Assuming you're back because you hit pause and you measured a rectangle and you got the length and the width. Now let's look at triangles. Okay, so obviously we know that triangles have three sides. We have the triangle that's made of Juggles' hat. We have the triangle that, are these his hands? And he's juggling these? Or do we think these are his hands and this is part of what he's juggling? I'm going to pretend like that's his thumb because maybe that's his thumb. Maybe. So we have these triangles right here. We're going to call them his thumbs. And we have his arms. Together, why don't we measure an arm? Okay? So, of course, triangles have three sides. I'm going to measure this base right here. I feel like I'm getting exactly 2 centimeters. Hopefully that's what you got. Remember, I like to use my arrows. So 2 centimeters is this line right here. I'm going to do this top section, which I think is technically the length. It's kind of hard to see exactly where it ends. Right, it is 4. Oh, goodness. I want to say it's 4.6. I wonder if it's supposed to be 4.5. I'm getting 4.6. Am I crazy? What are you getting? Don't yell at me. I'm getting 4.6, people. So I'm going to put my arrow and I'm going to put 4.6. And then this part of the triangle, which I believe is called the hypotenuse, which is a super fun word. Hypotenuse. All right. I'm getting 5. It looks to me like it's 5 exactly. So 5 centimeters. All right. So since I measured this, I'm going to put a check mark there. And it's the same as this triangle. So I am going to check mark that one. Now I'm going to leave you alone to measure this little guy and this triangle hat. Remember, this little guy, his thumb, they're the same. When you're done, make sure you check mark them. I think the hat might be a little tough because it looks like the circle is on the point of the triangle. So you can just assume that. Let's see what happens if I do this. Okay, that is literally the point of the triangle where it touches the circle. So you can just go from there to here, measure it, check mark, measure, check mark, and then come right back. So hit pause and come back. All right, so assuming you did the hat, the hand thumb things, now we have, what do we have left? We have the circles, the crazy hair of doom, the trapezoids, and the crazy feet. Crazy feet. So here's what I think we should do next. Why don't we look at a trapezoid together? Let's look at a trapezoid together, and then you can do the other 2 trapezoids on your own, which are the same. So really, you just have to do one, and then you do both. Let's do his body. So I'm going to measure the top. You know, it's kind of hard because it's so dark, so I'm flipping mine upside down so I can see it better. I'm getting, I'm getting 2.2. Is that what you're getting? Yep, I'm getting 2.2. So I'm going to put 2.2 is right there. Now I'm going to get the base. All about that base. Let's see. Ooh, I think I got 7 exactly, which is kind of nice. So 7 centimeters, arrow up. That kind of looks like a 1, so just in case, I'm going to put my line through it so I know it's a 7. Now, this visually looks like the left and the right are the same. I'm going to double check that because trapezoids, the sides do not have to be the same, right? And trapezoids, you just have to have the top and bottom need to be parallel. And and then they're connected by sides that are diagonal. And the lines on the side do not have to be the same. So I'm going to check both sides just in case. For one side, I'm getting like 4.4, but I'm going to double check. Yeah, I got 4.4. So 4.4, I'm going to put an arrow. And then I'm going to make sure that this is also 4.4 on this side. Okay, see, now I'm getting 4.3. No, I got 4.4. Okay. 4.4. So they are the same. Yay. It's going to be hard to check mark this one off because it's so dark. But I'll just do it really hard. There we go. Then we have the legs. So I want you to pause the video and I want you to measure the legs on your own. Remember, get the top, the bottom, and the sides. When you're finished, you can check it off. And this one, because they're the same. Okay, assuming you're back, right? Let's see. We have circles and we have crazy feet. Let's do the crazy feet. I think you can actually see on the crazy feet from a previous copy I made my personal strategy for the feet. I will show you that now. If you have a different strategy, that is just fine. That's kind of the cool thing about math. You know, you can get to the same answer using so many different strategies. So you can kind of see here that I'm going to draw a line that makes it so his feet turn into, or this foot turns into a triangle and then a half circle. I'm going to do that by placing my ruler along this section of his foot and making it so it ends at this point. So I'm going to put a part of my ruler at the point and a part of my ruler at this point, like this. Might take a second to really line up. That's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. If not, I'll just erase it and do it again. Okay. I'm not super happy with it, but we're allowed to be off by human error, so I'm going to go with it. So you can see now that I have made a triangle and a half circle. So if you're going to do it with my strategy, you should pause and do that right now, unless you've already worked on that at the same time with me. Okay? Cool. Now, we're going to measure the triangle. We know how to measure triangles, right? So I'm going to measure this side first. I don't know why. I'm just feeling like this is the side that I want to measure first. I'm getting 1.5, which is probably why it looks like 1.5 right there. So I'll put 1.5 again. And I'm going to put an arrow so I know it's this part. I'm going to get this side right here, the side that we drew a line on. I'm almost getting 5, but it's not quite 5. It's either 4.8 or 4.9. What do you think? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to go with 4.9, but thank goodness we can be off by human error. So you might get 4.8. That is fine. Okay. I mean, if you got like 6, your answer is going to be way off, especially when we take it and make it 3 times as big. So it should be pretty close. Now let's get the bottom of his foot, the bottom section of this triangle. And it is, okay, well now I'm getting 5 even. Or is that technically 5 odd? Bad math joke. So I'm going to mark this as 5. 5. Cool. So I have this triangle. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do the same thing on this foot just because I'll feel better being able to now check off this triangle. Because I did that one, it's the same as that one. Now I have this half circle. What I need to do is I need to find the exact middle of this half circle. So this half circle, I'm measuring it. I'm going to measure the base of this half circle. The base of this half circle is 2.5. So 2.5. And I need to divide 2.5 in half, right? 2.5 divided by half. I just think of money. $2.50. If I'm splitting that between two people, each person is going to get $1.25, right? Each person is going to get $1.25. So I know that I need to find 1.25 and put a dot there, or a little mark. It's going to be kind of tough. So here is 1. I need to literally put a line between the 2 and the 3. So here's 1, 2, 3. Wait, 1.2, and here's 1.3. It's not going to be perfect. That's okay. There we go. It's not perfect. That's okay. And then from that, I'm going to measure straight up. And that line is 1. All right, so this line right here is 1 centimeter. Oh, and I didn't mark what the base was. It was 2.5. So I'm going to use my arrow. 2.5. That's a terrible 5, Mrs. Ryan. That is ugly. Are you yelling at me? 2.5. There we go. So that looks a little crazy, but this is how we're going to make it larger, right? We're going to draw a line that is 2.5 times 3, find the center, and make it go up times 3, which would be 3. But you don't have to worry about that yet. We're just literally getting the measurements. So when you have that, you can check off. Well, I'm going to put a little check here. There's it's just so busy over here. It's so overwhelming. And I'm going to put a check mark on that side. So now I have left the crazy hair that we're doing in class, the circle here, and the circle on his, what is that his eye? No, I think that's his nose. And then we have a little glare, and then his head. Okay, then his head. So what we need to do is we need to find the height, or do you guys know the words radius and diameter yet? I'm not sure if you do. So I don't want to confuse you while we're not together. So I'm just going to call it the height for now, but we really should use our circle words such as radius and diameter. I'm going to find the height of his head just by making a line through it like that, okay? And then I'm going to measure that line. Try your best to get it in the middle. Then I'm going to find the measurement of that line, which seems to be 4. That's easy. 4 centimeters. Boop. Do you want to do the rest of the circles together? Why not? All right, I'm going to make a little line. Let's see. His nose is, what are you guys getting? 1.2. How am I going to show this? It's so dark. I'll do that. I'll draw an arrow. 1.2. Yes, we have to measure the glare on his nose. What is that going to be like? 0.2? It is! The little glare on his nose is 0.2. And that leaves his hat. You're going to have to send me a message if you guys know about diameter and radius. Really, honestly, I should know if you know that or not, and I apologize. Okay, his hat is... Are you guys getting 1 or are you getting 0.9? I'm unfortunately getting 0.9. 1 would be a lot easier to work with. So I'm going to put an arrow, 0.9. Okay. So I think that's everything. Check. I cannot put a check mark inside of that little glare. It's just not happening. So I think that is everything except for his hair. So remember, if I went really fast, it's okay because this is still a 20-minute video. It's going to take you longer than that to do all this. I am going to make a second video, but not until Monday, concerning how to get the angles, okay? How about we title this one, well, I want to call it measurements, but angles are also measurements. Like these are going to be the angles, right? The degrees using the protractor. I'll use that paper for this. And this is just like the side measurements. So maybe I should call it side measurements. Maybe that's what I'll do. So I'll have a paper for side measurements, and then I'm going to have a paper for angles. Now, you can put it all on one paper, but that just makes me freaked out. Okay? That's it for the side measurements. Yay. All right. Whatever day this is that you're working on it, I hope it's an awesome one. Send me a message if you have any problems, okay? A Schoology message or an email. They're both great. All right. Bye, guys and girls.